Hey guys, it's Dustin. Today is, well, I once again didn't look at the date. Today is Monday, but June 5th. Today's June the 5th. Anyways, a bit has changed since the day before yesterday. I guess that'd be the 3rd. I didn't make a video yesterday, but a bit has changed now. For one, the birds in the loft, in the young bird loft, seem to be improving, except for that one real heavy check, blue check. It unfortunately passed away. I found it this morning. It did start pouring rain. It poured rain last night. Actually, yesterday evening it was raining pretty badly, or pretty hard, and it got kind of wet in here. And I want to keep things as dry as possible, help the birds get back on their feet more quickly. But being as how it's already damp, I think I'm going to get the water hose and just spray this thing out. Just try and get rid of as much of that poop as I can. Unfortunately, that does mean getting it wet in there, but at this point it's already damp, so I'm not too concerned about it. The bad weather should pretty much be over. It's looking like it's going to be nice the rest of the week, so this loft, yeah, it gets wet in there and I don't like that, but it dries out real quickly, so I'm not too concerned about it. The not so great thing is, you know, I had those 7 birds in a training basket. Training baskets are not watertight, and I didn't even think about it. I had stuff to do last night, didn't think about it when it started pouring down rain. So here they are. Thankfully they all look just fine, but yeah, I don't think that's a real good environment for them to regain their health in. So I've been trying to figure out, I've realized this just a little while ago, I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to do about it. I have another training basket in our shed. It's a little bit smaller than this one. I think it's the same length, but it's not. It's a little bit narrower. Anyways, I like this one much better. I built the other one myself. It's made out of plywood and weighs a ton, so I don't use it much. But thankfully, I don't have a lot of pine shavings left. But when I did clean this thing out. I was, you know, moving in the right direction. I was being responsible. Dumped all the, I moved them out of here, dumped all the pine shavings out, scraped it out, put fresh pine shavings in, and then it rained and ruined that. But thankfully I didn't put all the pine shavings that I had left in here. I thought about doing more pine shavings, but I decided I just would put half of what I had left in there, which is what's in there now. So thankfully I have about that much left. So I'm going to get that other training basket out and get them switched over. And then also things have changed as far as my my loft, so I'll just use this board here and show y'all what I've got. So I was working on my plans, and I'll show y'all what I've got. So here's what I drew up, I guess yesterday. The first drawing I showed y'all, I had these 2x4s on the walls were 16 inches apart, but 16 inches is what you do for the floor studs. So these are 24 inches apart now is what you do for the walls. I got a little bit mixed up, but not studs, joists. These are studs. The ones in the floor are joists. So the floor joists are still 16 inches apart. Let me zoom in here. I hope y'all can, or not zoom in, I'm just holding the camera closer. Hopefully y'all can see. I don't know that y'all can because now the shadow's doing something. Anyways, that's probably going to be too bright. I don't know if y'all, well, now the sun's going behind the cloud. Anyways, so 6 foot tall, 8 foot wide, 6 foot deep. Here was my ultimate goal in the A-frame roof. This kind of roof is called an A-frame roof. My goal was that right here, these were going to be open. And I was going to have a vent at the top. what that would mean is that in the summer, when it gets warmer in there, of course hot air rises. That's why the attic in the house is always warmer, and the hot air is going to come out this vent, and that is going to pull cooler air in through here. Of course there will be windows on this too, which will be open in the summertime, so it'll draw air through there too. But ultimately I have this vent up here allowing the hot air to escape, which pulls cooler air in the sides. But also, when that's not the problem, wind blowing from either direction will hit the side of the building, swirl and funnel up through the vent here and blow through, and that would also create circulation. That was my ultimate goal in the A-frame roof. I really don't like how poor the circulation of air is in my breeding loft. So that was my ultimate goal there. Of course, I wound up, if y'all noticed, right here, I've only got one 2x4 in the wall, so I'm not going to do it that way. That would put them 24 inches apart, but to save money, I was just going to do the one. I think that's all that really was going to be necessary. That's something I started and didn't complete. This is what it would actually look like. So that other picture I showed y'all showed the why I wanted the A-frame roof and how the air would circulate. But basically, here's the 2x4 base, plywood on top of it, and then the wall. Of course, that's another 2x4, 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 and then this one right here. And I'll show you all why I have this, because that looks kind of odd. I'll show you all why I did it that way. Of course, A-frame roof. Here's the 2x4 going across the top, laying flat instead of that way. Anyways, with this 2x4 coming up, which would connect to the one that would run long ways along the roof, it would be this 2x4 here. So there's that one right there. We were looking at the side view, and it connects to that one that goes all the way top, and then the 2x4 is coming that way. I was going to have, now the sun's coming out and probably making it where y'all can't see this anymore. Let me just put it over here on top of these birds. Anyways, I really don't like the way the shadow's doing, making it hard for y'all to see. Anyways, moving on, I drew out all the different parts to it. I'm just going to bring this back over here. So, here was going to be my ceiling, OSB ceiling, and here's the floor, both made the same way. A 4x8 sheet, 4x8 sheet. Of course, the floor is made of plywood and the ceiling of OSB, but then I get another piece of OSB to cut in half long ways to make this 6 feet wide instead of 4 feet, which I need for the ceiling. Do the same thing for the floor, except an extra piece of plywood instead of second piece of OSB. Then cut the extra piece, the extra 8 foot long, 4 foot wide piece in half to make my door. I feel like the sun is probably bleaching this out to where y'all can't hardly see what I'm trying to show you. Find somewhere where I can sit and show y'all this. Anyways, here we go. So that would make the door, of course, you know, I explained yesterday, 4x8, 8 foot 2x4 cut in half would make these two sides of the door, and then I think I was going to have, and then another one cut into quarters would make the top and bottom of the door, plus the top part of the door frame. So that would be one of those quarters would make this, and then the other quarter right here, because that's also 2 feet and that's 2 feet. So that's how that would work. I did manage to get this design down pretty well to be very efficient. For 6 feet, I was going to need 8 of these 10-inch boards. They're overlapping by an inch. So that would be 8 of them here, and then 3 8 foot longs here, those 3. But then these can actually just be 6 foot long cut in half, and no need to get 8 foot long ones and waste it. Here's the right side, which is where I was going to have my trap again. 8 of them, but 6 feet long, not 8 feet long. So that was going to be my trap. And then the left side is the same way, just nothing there. The roof was going to be 2 4x8 sheets of OSB. So these, let me flip back here. These 2 2x4s that were only going to need to be 4 feet long, and that was going to make the center of the roof here, the peak of it, be 2 feet above the ceiling, roughly. I think it would wound up being a little bit less, because this shows it as being level with the wall where the 2x4 ends. I was actually going to have it come down a little bit further. I don't want any water getting up in here, so it was actually going to come down, so it would have been a little bit more. Also, this was going to be 3 inches of overhang. The loft itself, I keep saying 8 feet, but because the 2x4 is being sanded down to where they're not the exact same dimensions as they're not actually 2 inches by 4 inches, and they're not quite 8 feet long, but this was going to give me 3 inches of overhang to use the 4x8 sheets, 3 inches overhang on the sides, and then over here was going to give me, I want to say 6 inches of overhang. So then, after mapping those out, then I did the interior walls. So the front was going to use 2 4x8 sheets of OSB, and so was the back. Of course, these parts being cut out for the door. And then those, I'll show you how I was going to use those two sides. What's left, the 2 foot by 8 foot pieces there. And then kind of the same thing for the right and left side, 4x8 sheet. But then the 2x4, the 2x8 foot piece gets cut in half, and one of those halves goes here, other one here, and then the other one, another one cut, and then another half of one cut in quarters. Here, of course, I have plenty to spare, cutting off those, and that's why I had that 2x4 right there, is so that I can attach these that way to make the interior wall. And then I didn't use a ruler to sketch these, I just kind of drew them by hand, but this was all the pieces of wood I was going to need for the interior walls, floor, and the ceiling. So for the floor, that 4x8 sheet, and then a second 4x8 sheet cut in half, that was going to make the floor, and then half of this was going to make the outer part of the door, and the other half I thought I might use as the landing board on the right side, which would also keep some of the rain off of, because remember there was going to be a fly pin on the right side, that would also keep some of the rain off of them. Of course, that was only going to help a little bit. The rest of it was going to be open. It was going to be a 6x6 foot. Anyways, and then the roof, 2 4x8 sheets. Ceiling over here, I kind of forgot about it until last. Ceiling, same way as the floor, and then a quarter of that second sheet would of course make the interior side of the door. So those 2 pieces make the door along with those 2x4s that would be cut to that. Then back walls right here, and these, that would go on the left side, so that right there, that piece cut off would go right here. And then a quarter from this one would also go on the left side, so that would go right here. Another quarter from it would go on the right side, right there. And then this half right here would come from this one, from one of the front walls. And then unfortunately that was going to be waste, but I don't think it really would have. I would have found some way to use it. And then these right here for the right side, I put that as side of roof. So that would probably be to go right, skipped one. Go right here. I still had to figure out how I was going to close that off. So between those 3 pieces I didn't know exactly what to do with. I'm sure I could have covered that on both sides. And then it was going to be shingled with 3-tab shingles. Now, unfortunately, this is not going to work. And there's a very good reason for that. So the amount of money that this was going to cost with the 2x4s, I counted them all up. 2x4s. I was going to need 14 12-foot 2x4s and 18 8-foot 2x4s. That alone was going to cost $123.54, not including sales tax, which is 7% here. And then I added the cost for the 2 4x8 sheets of ply. We're going to be $25.06. The 10 sheets of 4x8 OSB was going to be $123.50, which gave me a total of $148.56 for what you see on this page. Plus, I think I was going to be able to get away with only using 2 packs of 3-tab shingles, which would be $43.30. So add that to the 2x4s, and that gives me $315.40. But then I add on the boards to go on the outside. My friend said were probably going to cost me around $60. So add that, and that is $375. And then I was kind of guessing I was going to use somewhere around $20 in screws. Add on 20. That's $295.40. Could have been wound up being a little more or a little less. I'm not sure. But either way, that's right around $400, not including sales tax. And with the 7% sales tax we have here, that's around $28. If it wound up being a little more than $400, which I'm sure it was because I didn't even factor in the hinges for the door, hinges for the windows, and a latch to go on the door, I was probably looking at around $30 of sales tax on something a little over $400 already. So this project was quickly going up towards somewhere in the range of $450 probably. So, problem is, I don't have $450, and that's only kind of a guess. So that's not going to work. Not to mention, there were other little things I hadn't factored in. Like, for one, this thing wasn't going to be sitting flat on the ground. I was going to have to use posts like this, and I think I could just find those laying around. But if not, I'd have to buy something. Also, all of that, I hadn't even factored in the box perches yet. I was going to use box perches on the inside. I hadn't decided exactly how I want to do those yet, if I wanted to use boards or if I wanted to use plywood cut up like I did in my breeding loft. Of course, the box perches would be much smaller than those. The ones in the breeding loft are for raising babies. These were only needed to allow an individual bird some space to himself, place to sleep at night. But yeah, so that project was reaching all the way up to probably over $500. And I don't have that kind of money. So hopefully, eventually, I will build that loft. I mean, I'm not going to go throwing out my sketchbook. I got the plans right here. Hopefully, I will build that eventually. I think it was going to look really nice. I was thinking about putting it right over here on this flatter part of the yard, facing east, which would be facing towards where we're standing right now. So hopefully that will happen eventually, but I don't have that much money to spend right now. And so now you're probably thinking, but Dustin, I think you're forgetting something. This loft right here is overcrowded, and you have 7 more birds that, assuming they do regain their health, and they are looking a lot better. Of course, what happened with that box getting wet is not good, but as long as I go ahead and get them switched over to something dry pretty quickly, hopefully that won't affect them too much. So assuming that they come around, I've got 7 more birds to add into here, and then coming into the breeding loft, I got, and of course it looks like it got a little damp in here too, I've got those 2 birds need to be moved over, those 2 lining the floor over there, probably just trying to see how dirty they can get, I guess. Then I got 2 babies down there, 2 babies right there, we can see their little heads sticking out, and then 2 eggs, they're right there, and then 2 eggs here, unless they hatch. I don't remember when they're supposed to hatch. So, I don't get I think she's ready to lay again. But anyways, so I don't really have an option. I need to get a new loft built. So you're probably wondering if I had somehow let that slip my mind. I was gonna say, oh well, it's no big deal. Well, no, that's not what I'm gonna do. My friend Rick, I was talking to him yesterday, and he actually mentioned he had a friend who was no longer keeping pigeons, who was selling their loft. It was a red rose loft. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it. Red rose loft. Anyways, he's selling it, and I texted him today to ask how much. Sorry, I just realized the video stopped playing. Or stopped recording. Anyways, in case, because I don't know where it cut out. It was his friend's selling a red rose loft, and he's selling it for $200, which I can afford. So hopefully that will work out. It'd be about the same size as this, 4 by 8 feet, except without these big perches right here. So there would be a little more space in there, and that loft is undoubtedly much better built than this loft, which is dripping, and that's not good because I already have a problem with illness. I don't need a leaky loft on top of that. So anyways, things are looking up there. We'll see how that goes. I think I don't have any real reason to think it won't work out. But we'll go ahead and look around in here, because I can feel a little bit better when I come in here, except that my floor is wet, and I really don't like that the floor is wet over here. See, I got these windows here, which I didn't realize it was going to storm, and they were left open, and so yeah, some water got in here, and that's bad, but that's expected. I don't like that dripping down there, and I don't like how wet this is, because that shouldn't be wet. And I don't like that it's so close to that nest right there, which I hate that he built on the floor, by the way. And I've told y'all why that is before. I know exactly why that happened. So I think I'm going to have to. So I've got to deal with that, of course. It is literally a miracle that these birds have not had any major illness problems. I think the coccidiosis may have spread to here from my young bird loft because I moved Charles in here without realizing that they had coccidiosis. Where is he? There he is. And his tail is growing back pretty well, by the way, guys. So there is that, but it's not a actual result of the loft being wet. So it is, and even with it being like it is, so far the birds seem fine. I haven't noticed any real issues with anybody. No one looks sick. I noticed some green droppings, but to be honest, I really don't see many. And I haven't lost any babies. I say that very nervously because I can't see inside this thing, underneath that nest box, and it is wet in here, and so that makes me very nervous. I shouldn't have said that without looking. Let's check down here, and good. They seem fine, I guess. I mean, they're not dead, but they're not really doing much. I don't know. It's nice and warm. Huh, this one's got a couple of white flights. That's kind of interesting because neither of its parents have white flights. But that could just be a throwback. That one doesn't have any white flights. So anyway, so they look fine. Today I'm going to be banding them. Here's Willie. So today I'm going to be banding those. I was supposed to band them 2 days ago, but they were too small. So I was going to have to wait till today. And also today, April's eggs were supposed to have hatched. So let's come see. And here's April's other baby, which looks just fine. And there's an egg. Aha. That's a little bitty pigeon there. Anyways, so putting it back. So that's good. And Willie's still on my shoulder. Hey, Willie. He's messing with my nose again. Anyways, so everything seems to be going pretty well in here, except for it being wet. I'm going to refill these waters with the medication, or the medicated water, and everything seems to be going pretty good. So it is literally a miracle that my pigeons in here are all healthy. It is quite a blessing. So yeah. So I need to get things dried out in there and I have no idea how I'm going to do that. But obviously I cannot wait any longer. I've got to put something over these windows to keep the water from getting in, and I'm probably going to use this OSB. There's a second piece of this under there, and I've got some spare wood under here. That'll give me a little something to do too, so I'll do that. This I haven't made any progress on, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm seeing that this is getting bent from being like that. That's not good, but it's not the end of the world either. These boards seem to be just fine. So again, it's going to cost me about $30 to finish this, because that's how much these wooden dowels are going to cost. But I'm not going to need this for a couple more months, so I'm just going to kind of let this go for now. But I'm going to get those guys moved over, and I'll show that to y'all once I get it done. Alright, so here they are. This one is smaller. There are a lot less room for each of them, which I do not like, and that's why they weren't in this one. They were in the other one. The milk jug won't fit in here. I cut the top off of a 2-liter bottle and stuck it in here with a hole in it, and I just filled it up with their water with the medicine in it. I'll clean out that milk jug. I've also got a second milk jug that I'm going to clean up and cut holes in it. It's just one that we just finished using, you know, for actual milk. So then I'll come over here, and I know they hadn't run out, but they need their water topped off, and they also need to be fed. Actually, they all need to be fed. There we go. Plenty of water. Now I will get to the feeding. Thankfully they have gotten their appetite back. I've been seeing improvement in this red check. Yeah. I'm going to spray this thing out first, I think, so that I don't get their food wet. Of course, that thing will get wet, and then I'll wind up putting food on it, but it'll be a little less wet and stuck together that way. Anyway, so I'm going to clean this out, and then we'll turn back. So I got things cleaned out in here, if I can use that word, clean. Anyway, I sprayed it out. So, and now I've fed them, so they're all eating. That red check hen is eating, that's good. The indigo check is not, and obviously he's pretty wet. He got sprayed with water no more than any of the other pigeons, but the wetter ones have not been oiling their feathers as well, which is not a good sign as far as health goes. Some of them, of course, younger pigeons tend to not be as oily either. You're not seeing that problem with any of the old birds like him. The tips of his feathers are on his wing and tail are wet, but that's about it. So, not too terribly worried about it, but he was looking better these past couple of days, so hopefully he, she, whatever, continues to improve. All the other birds seem to be doing just fine, though. Again, moisture is not a good thing when trying to fight this disease. I guess it's really a parasite, but it was already damp in there, so I figured why not go ahead and spray out all the poop, for most of it anyways. And yeah, so hopefully treatment continues to go well. I hope I don't lose any more birds. I was pretty surprised when I found that dead bird this morning. But at least everything's going well in the breeding loft. I mean, it's wet, and I hate that, but at least no one's gotten sick. So, I think that's it. I've pretty much shown y'all everything there is to show y'all. I'm going to put medicated water into the breeding loft. But I've already showed y'all how to pour water into a jug at least once already in this video, so I don't think I need to show y'all a couple more times. Y'all probably can handle that. But yeah, if there's anything y'all want to see, any questions y'all have, let me know. I'm walking down here to this other little loft down here by the woods. I'm expecting them to be just fine. They're hungry. I haven't fed them yet today. I always forget about them till last, but they should be just fine. Anyways, if there's anything y'all want to see, any questions y'all have, be sure to leave it in the comments. I know that everything going on is not ideal. I know that my breeding loft should not be wet. I've gotten plenty of comments telling me to get it dried out. Yeah, I know that. Like I said, it's a miracle that they're not sick. I know that spraying water into a loft full of sick pigeons is not the best thing to do, but it has been raining and it was already wet in there. So, and it's the middle of the afternoon. It's a hot, breezy day. It should get dried out pretty quickly. If it hadn't rained, I never would have sprayed any water in there. I would not have done that. But since it was already wet, I figured what's the harm? But yeah, and I know that it's overcrowded too. So all those things, yeah, I know. I'm not overcrowding pigeons because I want to, but hopefully I'll be able to purchase that red rose loft and get it over here pretty quickly. I can probably get it over here faster than I could have gotten that other one built. But and if you have any questions about my plans for that loft, let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. I think that it is a pretty good idea. I think it would turn out pretty well if I only had the money to build it. So, and I was looking pretty forward to building it. I like doing things with my hands. I like to stay busy. But anyways, these birds, they look fine. Yeah, they're all in here. They all look fine. I just need to feed them. I'm treating them. I see old green droppings, but I'm not really seeing what looks like any more. And they're getting treated too. So that looks fine. Is my camera still recording? Yeah, my camera's still recording. So yeah. Also, just a reminder, I do have the Facebook page now for my YouTube channel called Birdman29. Those of you that have questions about, you are always asking me, what kind of pigeon is this, or what gender pigeon is this? Well, I know quite a bit, but I'm certainly no expert. But if you post your pictures on there, either share them or private message them to that page, I'll do my best to help. And anyone that just wants to share pictures or videos from their loft, feel free to do that. I meant to kind of update it with pictures from mine, and I just haven't really, haven't really thought about it much. But just a reminder that that is there. That's about everything. Alright, well, thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. I will continue to share all my successes with you and all my failures. So obviously doing a little bit more of that right now, but hopefully after I get over this illness and get the new loft set up and get birds moved over, hopefully I can start showing y'all some more successes. But for now it looks like failures and sicknesses. So, but at least you can learn from them. But thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. Take care.